Stakes Fantasy Network. This is the live NFFC Cutline Championship with none other than Matty Davis from FTNFantasy.com. Matty, how you doing tonight?
Doing very good. Excited to see you guys again. It's always fun hanging out, chatting. You and I are having a beer, and I'm excited to get. I'm excited to get this draft underway. I have some plans in mind, drafting out of the 7 spot tonight. But overall, this is getting my feet wet, and I'm looking forward to doing a bunch of different types of builds and trying to get my correlations and my stacks and everything in between, moving in the right direction for me. But I'm excited to get going.
8 weeks from tonight. 8 weeks from tonight is the opener, baby. Bills at the Rams. It's going to be a blast. Tom, you've done a couple of these live drafts already tonight, or live streams with us. What do you think? These things kind of cruise, too, because people know who they want, right?
Yeah, these drafts get done real quickly, a little over an hour and a half tops. They fly by, and we should let people know the format for these. The regular season in these cut lines are best ball, so we do have a modified fab. We have limited fab during the regular season, but it is best ball during the regular season, and then if you advance to the championship round, at that point, you set your lineup going forward as you pursue for the $100,000 grand prize. But again, it is best ball, so you'll see some different types of roster builds tonight. It's not regular season long. It's not like our prime time or the RotoWire Online Championship. So you will see a little more best ball variations tonight. So it will be a lot of fun to watch how the roster builds go tonight, and we'll talk to Matt as he is going along here. But again, keep that in mind as you watch the draft board tonight.
Yeah, 10 teams, 26 rounds. I mean, 10 teams, everyone's going to leave with a superstar team. It's how good you can be, though. And like I said, best ball scoring, Tom said, we're first 10 weeks. The top 5 teams in each 10-team league advance to the playoffs, okay? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're out of here after 10 weeks, okay? And then it's kind of a survivor series, and you set your starting lineup in weeks 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We keep whittling it until we're down to 12 teams in week 17. Those 12 teams then play for the $100,000. It's like the final table of poker, right, Matty? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get to the final table, baby. Roll the dice in week 17 and walk away with $100,000.
I've been there and I've done it, and it's absolutely the best. It is so much fun. I've finished the overall in baseball and football. But, there's some things about this. You talk about the best ball format and the optimal scoring system, weeks 1 through 10. You're not setting your lineups. You're kind of just flowing with it. But the thing that I love about this is those 3 fab periods, because all these other best ball leagues, you're married to this team, right? and they can become pretty dry quickly. And with this, you can kind of wash your hands a little bit. And right. I really like that aspect about it. And then setting your lineup, the rest of the way after, the cut starts to begin in weeks 11, you get the 2-week cut there, and then you move on to the rounds and you slowly, trim the fat from the bottom up. And I just think it's so much fun that it's so unique that you're able to set a little bit of your lineups. And then at the end, when you do make it to that final round, you're pretty much crunching numbers like a DFS tournament. It almost feels like DraftKings at that point. You're looking to see who's rostering who's starting who do you need to do good, because not a lot of people have that player on their team. So there's a lot of unique aspects to this contest, but it is a hell of a lot of fun. And if you do continue to, you get on a heater and you make those cuts, it's quite the sweat.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure. Sean Childs always tells me, just do best ball in the playoffs. Why make me set my lineup? Because all the money's on the line. You should be the one determining that. We know that they're tough choices, but that's what we want you guys to make with all the money on the line. So again, this contest, $175 entry fee. We pay the top 2 teams in each league, $300 for first, $150 for second, and again, $100,000 grand prize. So we're off and rolling, and as you can see, people don't take very long. Jonathan Taylor, he goes number 1 all the time. Now, Christian McCaffrey in a best ball format makes a lot of sense. Tom, I know you're not a big McCaffrey fan, but best ball, listen, when he plays, he's getting 26 to 30 points, right?
No, I can get it in a best ball format. Again, when he is on the field, he is elite. There's no question about that. I don't like where he's going in season-long formats, but I totally get it in the best ball format. When he's on the field, when he's playing, he's a superstar player. I totally understand it.
All right, Justin Jefferson goes 3. Tom, look at that. Jamar Chase goes 4. We got him in 11th in the FSGA draft the other day. What do you think about that? 11th, baby. We're going to win that league, aren't we?
Yeah, we like our spot a lot. So, Matty, are you surprised at all? You know, you're picking 7th at a couple of spots. Anything surprising you right now?
Yeah, Cooper Kupp going 5 is a surprise. I'm assuming Team 4 maybe already has a team that they've drafted, picks 2, 3, or 4, and they drafted Cooper Kupp, and then they're, wanting to differentiate and kind of build a different stack or whatever. I'm less of that, trying to differentiate. If I really like someone, I'm adamant on them, I'm good to go. I'll just keep pounding them. I believe Stephon Diggs now again. I think I have him in every NFFC draft I've done thus far. So, I'll just keep going to town with Stephon Diggs and carry on, because I like this RB market in the second rounds of 10-team and 12-team drafts this year quite a bit.
All right. So what cheat sheet are you using right now? Tell the folks where you're getting this cheat sheet.
Yeah, thank you. So you guys were explaining the overview of the NFFC Cutline and, the uniqueness of it. And I created an article basically explaining that, along with how to build the proper roster construction. It's an article that's built for somebody that's played this contest for quite a while, and it's also for somebody that has never played it. And it'll go through roster construction, explaining the fabs and how to gain leverage through those fabs, each and every fab period. It also has the type of roster construction that I like to build around, which I think is, a preferred roster construction, I would call it. And then I also talk about wide receiver and tight end correlations and how to stack those. And I mention a few teams and players that I'm looking to target in this specific contest. And then I also go into comparing running backs by committees versus a handcuff being a little bit different with the best ball format. And then I also name, quite a few that I'm interested in targeting for Cutline this year. And then at the end, I have my personal rankings. And that's all available at ftnfantasy.com. So,
all right,
ftnfantasy.com.
Yeah, absolutely. NFFC Cutline rankings and advice and all of that you can have. And that just hit today, right, Matt?
Yeah, it just came out today around noon. And if you use promo code Davis, you can get 20% off of that. And that also includes everything that comes with Jeff Ratcliffe, the GOAT, Nelson Sousa, Vlad Sedler's Fab article. You're going to get everything from FTN Fantasy, and it's a hell of a crew, and I'm happy to be with them. So go check us out if you haven't been over there.
Check them out, ftnfantasy.com. We're happy to be working with you guys as well. You're right, Nelson, Vladdy, yourself. I mean, Jeff Ratcliffe, fantastic group over there. We're going to try to do some of these live streams once a week, if possible, for the next 6-7 weeks. And we'll get Vlad on here. He's knee-deep in baseball right now, but he's turning his attention to football, so we're going to go there. All right, Matty, you are up in round 2. Who are you thinking about here?
Yeah, this is
beautiful
for me. It's the DeAndre Swift. I especially in this format, I think that he is going to be an absolute monster. He's able to rack up the points per reception rather quickly. And I think that, health forbidding with the head injury that he had last year, that's, hopefully just an outlier. I really, really, really like him. I don't want to give away too much, but you did mention Nelson Sousa. And after picking his brain and talking to him quite a bit and going over his rankings and we're going to start up our podcast too, by the way, again, on Monday. We're going to be recording the Primetime Fantasy Podcast, which we sort of basically named centered around your guys' primetime at the NFFC. So Nelson Sousa and I are going to be doing that. But yeah, he has, I don't want to give away too much if you're not subscribing, but Nelson and I both actually have DeAndre Swift at 3rd overall in the running back rankings
nice.
as of right now. So
That
if you haven't
bold.
seen that, yeah. And I've learned not to disagree. Last year when Nelson and I first started working together, I tried to poke the bear a little bit and disagree and kind of play devil's advocate a little bit too much. But, more often than not, he ended up proving me wrong quite a bit. So this offseason going in, I like to pick his brain and learn a little bit. Everyone can still learn. So having somebody like that in your back pocket as a friend and a colleague is great to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love it, DeAndre Swift, too. We wanted him at 11. He went at 10 the other day in our draft. But you're right, Matt. Look at this second round. I mean, we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 running backs going here in the second round. You had a choice between Cook and Swift. I mean, that's pretty nice with the 14th pick here in this. So, you can see the run here. Barkley, Swift, Cook. Javonte Williams, Derrick Henry, Fournette, and Kamara. Tom, team one, Taylor and Kamara last night on our show. You were just so adamant that Kamara is undervalued. Here he goes at 20.
I was telling people that's what you can do right now in the NFFC. You can team Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara up, and that's what this guy did. I love it for this guy. I was actually going to ask you, Matty, why take Swift over Cook? Well, you just told me why, because you guys are ranking him that high, so I get it.
Yeah, there's also the factor about just the way that Minnesota is kind of looking to run their offense and what they're doing, and then kind of the way Cook, man, it's something's always nagging. He's always on the sidelines. It's just always something with him, and eventually that rubs somebody wrong. And it's not that I don't like him and I have him shoved down my rankings or anything like that. I'd still be okay going with him, but I just think that with the landscape of how football is being played, the passing volume that you're able to see, and then with even Swift missing some time last year, the offensive line is going to be getting better in Detroit. This is Goff's second year. I kind of sneakily I kind of like what's going on there. They play in the dome. They gotta like that for offensive environment as well. So yeah, I'm just kind of enamored with him a little bit. I think that passing volume is going to be pretty sick this year.
Hey, if you got Swift on your board and you got him at 14, you take him at 14.
Absolutely.
So you got two guys you liked right away with Diggs and Swift. So here we go. I'm going to look at some of the builds here. Team two's got 3 running backs. Team three's got 3 wide receivers. Everybody else is mixing. It's early in the game yet, but it's always fun to keep track of how people build their rosters here. Matty, you're up in round 3. What you looking at here?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to take the person that I have ranked number 1 overall at tight end. It's funny, Nelson and I both do not have Travis Kelce as the number 1 tight end this season. We both have some concerns, and we'll talk about it on the podcast, but we do have some concerns with the absence of Tyreek Hill, what that's going to do with the defense, maybe being able to drop somebody down a little bit closer to Kelce. I think, Father Time is obviously catches up to everyone, the amount of volume that he's had. It's, I guess, the the boring old take on that would be, I think I'm going to be ready to jump off the ship before, the ship sails itself. So, I think with Lamar Jackson and, getting Marquise Brown out of there, the usage for Andrews could go up. We've seen Lamar get a little bit better in the passing game. And then just seeing what Andrews started to do at the end of, the second half of the season, he really, really took off there. And then I also think that Lamar Jackson himself is being slept on. So hopefully get a correlation there, maybe eventually in this draft. If not, I'm not going to let that upset me too much. But I am in on, being able to pair those two guys this year. I really like Mark Andrews.
Yeah, definitely. Andrews did a lot of his damage last year when Jackson was actually out. He got a lot of receptions there. Yep. So we'll see what happens. But that doesn't mean that he won't get more with Jackson. But he did a lot of the damage when Jackson was sidelined.
Yeah, I think the usage overall is just going to go up for him, and then the target share is going to be increased with Brown out of the picture. So yeah, I like it. I think he's trending in the right direction.
All right. Again, we're looking at the builds here. It is you start 10 each week, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a flex, which is a tight end, wide receiver, running back, a tight end, kicker, and defense. So you're starting 10. The guys who start out with 3 running backs, certainly they can use one of them at flex. Same with wide receiver. You can use 3 wide receivers and a 4th one at flex as well. But listen, you're trying to get top players all the way down. You'll let the computer pick your best lineup every week. If you got all good players, you're going to score a lot of points. So just keep drafting good players. All right, we're into round 4 already. Again, what are we, 5 minutes into this thing, and we're into round 4 already. So these things cruise pretty fast, as Tom said. Everybody kind of knows who they want. Team 9, I'll just let it out. He is a $100,000 champion in this one. A couple of years ago, he won this one with the great Josh Allen, Diggs combination. I'm sure you wouldn't mind having a combination like that in week 17 if you're in the final table as well, Matty, right?
I love it. There's something to be said for being able to just go Yahtzee, go apeshit, go just absolutely ham. And that's what you can get with somebody with a combination like that specifically. Right. It's just, it's unbelievable. I think when I finished third overall, it was like Russell Wilson and like Jimmy Graham was a correlation. And Jimmy Graham was okay, but it wasn't that itself that won it for me. It was attacking the skill sets for the first 5 or 6 rounds and kind of excluding quarterback actually, and then loading up on everything else. Things obviously have to go right throughout the season. Health is one of them. Having players outperform their projections, hitting the 80th, 90th percentile or whatever. And then on top of that, the lovely fab that you have in best ball. Sometimes you don't know what the hell you're doing at this point in the draft. And in July, things do change, and there's going to be players that are available. And, if you're playing at Underdog or DraftKings, you can't do any of that. That player's gone. And I'll never forget in 2017, I was able to pick up Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, I want to say that was his rookie year. And being a USC fan, it was a lot more fun, having somebody that I was already rooting for and then him kind of taking off. So,
yeah, definitely. All right. You took Breece Hall in round 3. He has been going, right around 32, 33 in regular drafts. Talk about what you think out of him. Again, everyone knows that Michael Carter is also there. There's a little timeshare there, but talent wins out usually, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a bell cow back, to be honest with you. Negative game scripts could occur because of the defense is still a little bit shot there in New York, but I think they're going to put up a little bit more scoring outputs and have some opportunities there in the money zones. And I think Breece Hall, according to scouts and smarter people than me, because I'm not the biggest, college guru or whatnot, he is grading out just as high as Najee Harris did last year. And Joe Douglas is an absolute stud when it comes to drafting. I think his resume speaks for himself, what he did in Philadelphia, what he's currently doing in New York. He's kind of turning things around, the environment around there with the Jets. And I think in this format, if you read that article that we talked about, Greg, that I wrote at FTN Fantasy, it has Breece Hall and Michael Carter. I think in this type of format, you would never want to start, like, let's say in a prime time. I don't think I would want to start Breece Hall and Michael Carter. But if there's a negative grain script, something happens to Hall, he gets pushed out, and then Carter goes bananas with a 10-target game and scores a touchdown in garbage time. Well, guess what? You still covered your backfield while still not investing too much draft capital in the second guy. So I think that there's something to be said about targeting. It's not necessarily the handcuff, but more of the committee. I really like committees in this format because I wouldn't want to have AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones on my primetime team, because sometimes it might not be optimal each and every week, but you know that you're going to get the optimal output in this format. So it's something that I really like to do. And then comes week 11 through the end, when you're having to set your lineups and stuff like that, if you're there, obviously you got to get there. That's the goal. Then you can kind of figure that out from there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. If you want to respond, put something in chat. We'll put her on the air just like this. Josh, thank you very much. Cutline is the go to fantasy football format. Super unique. It definitely is very unique, and we appreciate that. And you've had good success in this as well. So, again, put something in chat. We'll put it right on here. Tom, is there any builds here that you're seeing? Anything unique here? Anybody drop or rise? What are you seeing?
Well, I'll let Matt make his pick, and then I want to get some thoughts from him. And he makes the Allen Robinson pick. Nice pick there. I love A-Rob. I want to get your thoughts, Matty, about the 3 running back builds, which a couple of teams did, Team 2 and Team 8 right after you. I think it's viable for a couple of reasons. First of all, the best ball format part of it. And second of all, 10 teams with wide receivers being so deep. I think starting off with 3 straight running backs is much more viable than, again, in, say, the RotoWire or the prime time. What are your thoughts about starting off with 3 running backs? Again, you didn't do it. But in general, do you think it's more viable in the cut line?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point to bring up, because you are going to get, kind of like a starting pitcher, a running back has 1 or 2 weeks usually where things just don't go right. Game script can kind of cause things to go off, a nagging little cramp, sitting on the sidelines. There's just little things that can occur. And if Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey put up a 10 to 12 point game, that could happen. And you have, Joe Mixon and Breece Hall, and they both go off for a 20 ball. And your other wide receivers are obviously, because the points per game with the receivers are going to be more when you're looking at the mean in the cut line format. I think it is viable. And then when you look at the injury risk and how much these running backs, with the volatility and the variance there is with the injuries, I think having one extra, let's call him a bell cow or a stud running back, that third one, if things all go right with all three, hey, great. You're rolling out one in the flex. The scoring system's going to automate it for you. But if things go wrong, you're still able to fill the two, right? And that's important because in the flex, you're going to have your fourth or fifth or seventh or eighth wide receiver pop off, on a random Sunday. It could be Tim Patrick because Jerry Jeudy, got hurt or whatever. So yeah, I think it is much more viable here. And I want to mention why I wouldn't necessarily do that in the prime time. It's because it handicaps what you're able to do roster construction wise in the draft, where you're able to go later on, and then setting your lineups moving forward. So it's just a little bit different here with the best ball.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So team 10 took Mahomes with Kelsey, which is a little bit start of a stack maybe. Matt, what do you think? Do you like to stack in this format? Quarterback, top wide receiver, quarterback, top tight end, that kind of thing. Is that more doable in this 10-team best ball format? And can it pay off like we just talked about with Josh Allen and Diggs going off in week 17 in 2020?
I almost think it's something you have to do.
Yeah.
And it really is. And I'm auto clicking. I was worried that this person was going to take. So there you go. I'm participating in that correlation party. So I did end up getting the Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews.
Right.
Hopefully no one's drafting with me because next I'm going to be looking at Rashad Bateman here in a little bit. But yes, I do, because you're trying to accumulate the most points. And, ways to do that is by people feeding off of each other and bouncing off those points. So, yeah, it's great to have, albeit it could hurt you, like you said, in like the RotoWire Online Championship. If things go wrong, it can cripple you, because if you're rolling out 2 or 3 players from that same offense, that's a good portion of your actual entire roster that you are starting. So, right. It could hurt you, and it has in the past. It can happen, and it does happen. But I think for the optimal output, I think that it's something that you should do.
Yeah, let's look at the last 2 years, right, Tom? Last year was Burrow and Chase in the championship round, and especially week 17. The year before it was Diggs and Josh Allen. So especially in this format, it does make sense to stack, don't you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think this is probably our closest format to, and Matt kind of touched on it earlier, to a DFS kind of format, especially when you get down to that final table or so in the championship week. It is the closest thing we offer to DFS construction. So you are looking to kind of stack and have those big stack type roster constructions if you can get them. So yeah, I do think it comes into play. I think it's something that more and more people, I think you can do it more in season long, but I think this particular format really lends itself to that approach. Do you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, and I definitely do. I don't steer away from it. I'm still pretty conscious about it, even in your normal, primetime league. I do like to correlate if it's possible. Now, don't force it. That's the problem that people get into in Underdog and DraftKings, and sometimes here, it's forcing the situation, going way outside the range of outcomes in ADP because you have to have it, or you want to create it, or you want to create the screenshot, or just show somebody, look, I got all the guys on the same team or whatever. And you can get into problems like that. And it's troublesome if you start to get too greedy with it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You got to move on. You can't, I think that's where teams, when they force it, you can get in trouble, because you're probably passing up potentially a better player that's available on the board at that moment.
Yeah, sorry about that, but Rashad Bateman went there at the end of round 6. So we got him very low, Tom, in that other 14-teamer. I can't believe, like 7th round or something like that, which was crazy. Okay, looking again at a couple of roster constructions here. Team 3 with 5 wide receivers, still just 1 running back, and Team 5 as well. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Team 3's 1 running back is Elliott. Team 5's got Javonte Williams. What do you think, Tom? What is the thought process with those 2 teams going 5 wide receivers?
I can't explain the thought process. Again, it's best ball, so you're trying to. I mean, it's certainly much more optimal in this format because you're just trying to hit 3 to 4 wide receivers a week, and one of them with Team 3 is Godwin, so he's going to be on the sidelines for a while, so I understand that. But, I mean, even in this format, I don't know if I'd be doing that, because at some point you do got to start at least 2 running backs, and you're going to want to have some depth, right? Because in best ball, not at some point, one of those running backs isn't going to hit every week, so you're going to want to have some depth. So I don't know if I'd be approaching this. Matt, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I understand drafting best player available, but you still got to have some running back.
Yeah, you do. And I'm definitely the wrong person to kind of say, hey, it's okay as I take another running back. I don't fade running backs, man. I'm like pretty much, I'm leaving the first 3 rounds usually with 2 running backs for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing the game since I've been playing it, and I'm not changing that. I don't care how much passing there is. I've opened up to drafting a wide receiver in the first round. That's like expanding the range of outcomes for me big time, because normally it's just running back. I got to have the running back. In this format, it's going to be hard to get those. Yeah. Just the math itself is actually going to even say that it's not okay, because all these wide receivers and players that he's drafting, they're going to push each other out. And then by the time you get to a running back, when you compare that person's points per game compared to the actual mean of the running back, they're going to be well below that. And it just kind of scales back your overall optimal scoring output. I just can't do it. Sorry.
I got to think at some point he's going to be looking at his bench. He's going to be seeing a lot of wide receiver points on his bench. And he's going to be looking at running back points in the starting lineup, and it's just not going to be there. I mean, both these.
And they're low. Yeah.
But the one thing that we're seeing this in the industry is modified running back approach or a 0 running back approach. I mean, we know that there's some big contests out there, 12 teamers, that guys will go 10 rounds without taking a running back. That's not me. It's like you said, Matt, it's not you. But this industry does change, and people do find different ways. And so this is definitely modified. We don't have anybody here in a 0 running back situation at this point, but we definitely have 2 teams with a modified running back situation. I mean, even Team 9, you could kind of say, although Elijah Mitchell as his second running back is still pretty solid. Plenty of time yet to add depth, but interesting to see how 3 and 5 are building their teams. I don't really see a whole lot of other stacks with the quarterbacks at this point. I mean, the Brady Godwin, but again, Godwin isn't going to be around for a while. So we'll see if people start teaming up some. Team 4's got Hurts. Yeah, and then he took Smith after that. Yeah. He hadn't done that before, but that makes sense there. So, all right. So, Matt, we got you coming to 8. You are on the clock.
Yeah, I'm looking specific. I'm specifically looking for a wide receiver right here. The only thing that's kind of like, it's a bummer is TJ Hawkinson's kind of fallen a little bit far for my liking. But I already have Mark Andrews, and so I'm going to look to get another wide receiver here. So I'm basically just going over to my rankings, looking to see who I have ranked the highest about with the available players here, and it is Elijah Moore. I hope you guys don't think I'm a homer. I usually don't ever draft New York Jets, actually. As you're looking behind me, there's a chair that says the Jets, and I'm enamored a little bit with what's going on. I think that the offensive line itself and all the talent, right? Talent wins out usually if there's not a shit show going on in behind the scenes. And it looks like that quarterback's kind of, he's carrying a little bit of swag. And I've been monitoring, besides the other offseason news that's been coming out about Zach Wilson, I've been monitoring, and he's been doing this whole traveling to each wide receiver. He's been a leader this offseason, and there was some positive steps, towards the right way of regression for him at the end of the year. And I think bringing in another talented rookie receiver, bringing in Breece Hall, now you're able to have who Michael Carter was kind of asked to do a little bit too much for his skill set, is able to do more of what he's comfortable with, which is being an elite scat back. I just think that this offense is going to finally click.
we haven't been following that news with him. We've been watching the Cougar news about him. So
that's the
we're
news.
very
The other
excited.
news I was.
I think he's getting well accepted in the locker room. Don't you think?
I think he's getting his credit right now, boys. And I know people were giving him shit last year because he looks like Babyface, but hey, everyone's jealous of Babyface right now, I think. So,
Tom, what do you think about him? I mean, you're an expert on this situation. Why don't you talk about
I'm an expert on this situation.
I know what you did in the 20s. Come on, I know what you did when you're in your 20s. Come on, comment on it, please.
I have no comment on Zach Wilson.
Oh, come on. Gee whiz.
See, Tom might be jealous because he's dipping into his pool.
now they're showing pictures of him that he went to high school prom with 2 cheerleaders. So this guy has really been a stud for a long time. Yeah, of course, right?
He's the quarterback. Of course he's a stud. I mean, come on, every quarterback.
I know, but he took 2 cheerleaders to
the
prom.
kid has a cannon too, man. He actually the arm power's there, and I just think don't sleep on the offensive line for the Jets. Joe Douglas, he's been very conscious of investing the proper amount of draft capital in that spot, and they could seriously hold up health-wise. Obviously, health forbidding, especially with Becton. He was hurt last year. He's a huge piece and part of that offensive line. But if they do hold up, I think this offense is overall, they're going just a little bit too cheap. Maybe it's just because they're the Jets.
Well, you got a Jets poster or whatever in your back there. So, of course. All right, Tom, I'm going to have you critique one of Matt's picks here. All right, are you ready? So he did take Elijah Moore over Thielen. What do you think?
I personally wouldn't have done that, but I mean, far be it for me to debate Matt there. Matt's a great player, very successful, obviously.
That's what we brought you on the show for, though.
I mean, I'm a Thielen guy, Matty. I mean, I think he's consistently undervalued. He's a red zone guy. There's a very thin passing tree in Minnesota. It's not even with Irv Smith there, it's not a heck of a lot thicker. It's pretty much 3 guys in that passing tree. I mean, I would have taken, I get the Elijah Moore thing. I'm not questioning any of the points you've made. I'm a Thielen guy. That's just, I would have gone Thielen.
And you mentioned the red zone, which is huge for his production, right? I'm one of those math nerds that think that, and I'm going to exclude Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers in this scenario, that more times than not, that category and that statistic will kind of regress back. And I was wrong about it.
Everybody thought last year.
Right. And I was wrong about it last year, big time.
All right, you're on the clock, so don't miss your pick here.
Yep.
Yeah, let's not do that. Ooh. Okay, this is going to be tough because, I'm just going to do it. So, okay, I think that I went with Tyler Lockett, and I think that we're obviously Drew Lock is nowhere near in the same scenario as a Russell Wilson. So why would we go with him? But I think with talent, volume, scheme, and offense in general, I think eventually that sort of talent and volume just wins out, right? We're okay now because we've massaged ourselves with the fact that Brandon Cooks is in Houston and he gets volume and he's good. It fucking worked, right? I just think Tyler Lockett's a damn good wide receiver, and they're going to be able to figure out ways for him to get the ball.
And it's best ball. So you're not killing yourself starting him every week in case Drew Lock turns into a pumpkin. It's best ball. Yeah.
And hasn't he always been that kind of player, Tom? He's the top 5 wide receiver the first 6 weeks, and all of a sudden for 3 weeks he's like, well, what happened? He's 40th.
Him and Metcalf kind of changed 20-point games.
Sure.
It seems like so.
Yep. And the other thing, I don't think that still the ADP difference between Metcalf and Lockett has always been too far skewed because Lockett's bigger and stronger and more muscular, and it's just wrong.
Right. No, we've always loved Lockett. We've had him on our FSGA teams a lot of times, so definitely good. Tom, I want to talk about Trey Lance. Went to team 8. He was quarterback 10. Now, again, this is best ball format. This team 8 also took Kittle there, so maybe he was teaming him up there. But thoughts on Lance going 10th in this one?
Yeah, going ahead of Russell Wilson, which I wouldn't do. But again, he's obviously going – maybe he was going for the stack there with Kittle, possibly. And, he's going for the upside, so, okay, I get it. But Russell's got a immense amount of upside, obviously, as well. So again, I think Russell Wilson's falling a little too far, even in Denver, which is surprising. He fell to us in the FSGA draft the other day. So I can't explain why Russell Wilson is falling. You would think with all the hype surrounding the Broncos this season that he would not be falling, but he is, falling to QB 11 in this draft. I mean, that's outside, obviously, even I could do the math. That's outside the top 10 in a 10-team draft. So he's a QB 2 in a 10-teamer. That's, to me, that's kind of crazy. So great value for team 10. Again, now this is best ball. So I wouldn't have drafted in a regular draft. If you already have Mahomes, I wouldn't have gone with Wilson, but in a best ball format, I have no problem doing that, teaming Mahomes with Russ.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have taken another quarterback after Mahomes that quickly, but again, Wilson could have some big games, but ninth round and you already have Mahomes on your roster. I think you continue to bang the wide receivers and the running backs there and just keep on going. All right. Man, we're cruising by this thing. This is 25 minutes old. We're almost done with round 10. Matty took Chase Edmonds. Talk a little bit about that situation in Miami.
He's explosive. The offense is going to be explosive. How are you going to load the box? You've got so much speed and athleticism between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and then you have a freak of nature up the middle with Mike Gesicki. I think it's going to be really, really hard for defenses to scheme a specific way against Miami. And I just think that the offense on a whole is going to perform pretty good, even with Tua Tagovailoa.
All right.
Tagovailoa.
That's team 5 there. Did team up. He was the last one to take a quarterback. Stafford went QB 12. And, of course, he teamed him up with Cooper Kupp. So, again, people are stacking, I guess you could call it, at least the quarterback and the wide receivers. I don't know if they're getting the running backs in there as well. But, it's interesting. And I kind of think team 5, knowing he took Kupp, was able to wait a long time and get Stafford on the way down there in round 10. So very interesting indeed. Tom, you like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of it. Team 2 is now he's going to wait a little bit with Hopkins being suspended, but he's got Murray, Hopkins, and Ertz. Team 4 has got Hurts, Smith, and Goddard. We're seeing a lot of stacks in this one. So I do think it's intentional. I do think teams are doing it more and more often. And again, we're certainly seeing it in this format because of the best ball aspect, but I also think we're seeing more of it in regular season longs as well. I do see more of it in our prime times, in our other 12-team formats as well. I think it's becoming more prevalent outside of just DFS, whereas maybe 3-4 years ago, it was just a DFS thing. It's becoming more part of traditional fantasy football as well, not just a DFS thing.
Yep. Definitely. All right. Again, through round 10s in less than a half an hour. This is a 26-round draft. So we're on pace for about an hour and 15. And this was the hard part, picking the quarterbacks or running backs or wide receivers. When you get the defenses and kickers, we'll go flying by for sure. All right. Team 5 takes Derek Carr. I was looking at Adams. I thought he might even be interested in teaming up him, but he took Russell Wilson as his backup quarterback. I think that would have made sense to go Carr and Adams there and try and get a couple of big games there, but we'll see. All right, Drake London. Tommy keeps falling. Even in our FSGA draft, he fell. Why is he falling? He's got all kinds of target share there.
He's got all kinds of target share, but the quarterback stinks.
I know.
That's the problem.
How's that going to end up shaking out? So Mariota's somewhat getting drafted a little bit at the end of these cut lines.
Pitts goes 34, 35 all the time. So everyone thinks he's going to get the ball. I mean, there's got to be more than one guy getting the ball there.
Yeah. But Matt Ryan, for all the issues he had last season, is still a serviceable NFL quarterback. I don't know if Mariota is, but
we'll find out. 106 for what we all thought on draft day was the best wide receiver landing spot. Going to Atlanta seemed like a beauty for London, for sure. Matty, we like your Ayuk pick. I think
I like that a lot.
Boom, yeah. Big bust-out season ahead.
This is your typical buy low after people are clampering, they're just eager and excited to get it. I think nothing went right, and it started right from week 1. Okay, Kyle Shanahan was upset. This is an inside. Okay, this is a California inside source. So there was a Kyle Shanahan hosted a party week 1 or before week 1 started, and Ayuk didn't attend it. And right from that, Shanahan had him in the doghouse, and it wasn't because of what was going on in practice. It wasn't all these little things. There were each week there was why is Ayuk's usage like this? What is going on? What is going on?
Right.
That is what started the whole thing, and it just got off to a wrong. It just got off wrong. I think a good reset. We know who the quarterback's going to be this year. I think they're going to be able to work with each other from the beginning going into the week 1. I think it's all going to be positive. The talent, the offensive scheme. There's the way that this offense performs. And if you're a talented player and you're not in the doghouse, you are going to be open and you are going to be successful at times. And that is exactly how Shanahan operates his offense. So hopefully Ayuk shows up to the yacht party this year.
Yeah, I mean, why not go to a party? Come on, go to the party. Free drinks. What the hell? I know.
Right.
You know, let's think about last year, Tom, right? Ayuk was going ahead of Debo, right? He went ahead of Debo. We were all on Ayuk before Debo. Now Ayuk's going in round 11, and Debo's going in round 2. Come on, the talent hasn't changed that much. And like Josh said, he's getting all this offseason reps with Lance. I think he's going to be the guy, his favorite guy on there. So what do you think, Tom? I know you like Ayuk a lot too.
I do. I mean, a year ago, I was tweeting out, don't forget about Deebo Samuel. I mean, I was on Ayuk, and I drafted Ayuk in a bunch of places. I also drafted Deebo in a bunch of places. I certainly wasn't expecting what Deebo did. I'm not claiming that. But I did say, don't sleep on Deebo because Deebo's really good. Everybody was gaga about Ayuk. And now, for the last couple of months, I've been tweeting out, don't forget about Brandon Ayuk. He's still really good, and we saw flashes of it down the stretch last season. Every once in a while, Brandon Ayuk would flash and remind everybody, this is why we were drafting Brandon Ayuk. We just didn't see it consistently because Deebo was, having that great season that he had. Don't forget about Brandon Ayuk. He's still really, really good. And again, they're also a small passing tree in San Francisco. It's 3 guys primarily. Deebo, Kittle, and Ayuk. And Kittle gets hurt every single season. And Deebo's had some trouble staying healthy. We know that. So again, Ayuk is really 1 or 2 injuries away from getting massive target volume in that offense. Don't sleep on Brandon Ayuk. And way to corner the Jets backfield with your last pick there, Matty.
I was hoping that he was going to make it there. So that's kind of like the RBBC that we were talking about, the running back by committee. But I wouldn't call it a handcuff, but like I said, I think that the Jets had to use Michael Carter a little bit more than they would have liked to, right? I don't think that necessarily he's built to be an 80% bell cow back, but being able to get both of them, you're garnering all the targets, all the garbage time games if that happens with the Jets, and then you're also getting the positive game scripts with Breece Hall if he is the bell cow. So I like that.
Yep, definitely. All right. Early on, we were talking about teams 3 and 5 because they were leaving the running backs alone. So then team 3 really pounded running backs. Got Kenneth Walker and Penny, so he's got the Seattle backfield. Kareem Hunt is fine. Algier has possibilities as well. Let's talk about team 5, though. He really waited a long time. Tony Pollard is his second one, and then Damian Pierce is his third running back. He's only got 3 running backs through 12 rounds. I mean, Pierce could break out, but, Tom, that's a little risky to go that low on modified running back, if you will.
Yeah, he's still got a lot of work to do. And again, we got to remind people there is minimal fab in this cut line format. So keep that in mind, depending on how he leaves this draft. But yeah, he's still got some more work to do at the running back position. And that's a guy that would have actually, Nyheim Hines, a nice pick. White would have been probably better, but Hines is certainly a helpful pick there.
Yeah, so plenty of time to get more running backs, obviously, and such. One aspect I do want to talk about, and we did say you set your starting lineup in weeks 11, 12, 13, 14. Again, you're trying to stay above the cut line. That's what you want to do. Stay above the cut line in advance. Stay above the cut line, get to 14, get to week 15 and such. But, Matty, I got to ask you, if you take a pick here, Tua. There you go. You couldn't even pronounce his name before. You pronounced his last name wrong before.
It was the pipe. It was the shout out to Unicorn versus Ninja. It was that Tua Tagovailoa. I like the offense. You can't have a podcast without being able to pronounce people's names correctly. That was pretty embarrassing.
Just say Tua.
Me out on that.
Just say Tua. That's what Tom and I do all the time.
And then we get to the Denver tight end. You don't even want to try that one.
No. What is it? Albert O. You just say that.
Albert O. There you go.
Yeah. Again, to reiterate the Miami offense, I think that their prices are a little bit down. I like what's going to be brewing there in Miami.
Okay, so one thing I was talking about before you made your pick, though, you have a 26-man roster, good players all the way around, and now you got to pick 10 starters, and that's what Sean was talking about. That's tough. In a 12-teamer, you got 20 players. Okay, you got 10 options and some, might be a backup quarterback, so you don't worry about picking 10 starters in weeks 11 through 17 is not easy from a 26-man roster, and we realize that, and that's why we want to put the onus on you guys with all the money on the line.
Well, it's what makes it unique, and this is a skill game that we are playing, and albeit you could draft a normal best ball team, and look, I won optimal output through the whole year. But for that to happen, man, like a lot of teams get whittled out so quickly in those formats because they have no fight, they have no chance. I like that you're able to correct those with these fabs. You're able to set your lineups. Maybe your competition's making a mistake later in the year as they get further down in the cut line, and you can use it to your advantage. But overall, I think that it's just absolutely fantastic, and I don't mind setting my lineups. I think that you need to dig a little bit deeper, and I also mentioned the rostership percentage part that comes into play at the end, kind of like DraftKings,
right?
Or DFS, and maybe you need to be conscious about that, or you should be conscious about that as well when factoring in who you're going to start or sit.
Yeah, if you're the only one with one of the running backs or wide receivers on the final table of 12, you definitely want to start them because that could be the difference maker for sure. Right. So, definitely very unique and a lot of fun for sure. So, okay, here we are in round 14. I don't know, Tom, you seeing anything that stands out? Any players that stand out? Anything come to the eye right now?
Nothing's jumping out as far as, guys that are falling a little bit. Miles Sanders falling to first pick of round 11. To me, he's just continues to be a value pick in all of our drafts. But what's that, pick 101? That's incredible value in my opinion. Especially in best ball. To me, he should be going much earlier in best ball because he is going to have big weeks. And in best ball, you don't got to worry about starting him in those weeks where A, he could get hurt, or B, he could come up small. It's going to be, he's going to hit for you or he's not. So there's no excuse for him to be falling to pick 101 in a best ball format. That's crazy value. And again, you just handed him to the team that's got Jonathan Taylor. That's insane value in this format. Congratulations, team one. You've got Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, and Miles Sanders at the running back position. Well done.
Yeah, actually, you can throw in Antonio Gibson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire there too. Those are guys. Hey, in a best ball, Gibson could have a couple of good weeks. You may not want him season long. I know you don't, Tom, but hey, he could have a couple of good weeks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire could have a couple of good weeks, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Gibson in best ball is a good pick as well. I do agree.
Yeah, he falls to 60. We talked about it last night. He went 65 in the online championship. But again, Edwards-Helaire at 100. Hey, if he keeps that job and has a couple of big games in Kansas City, that's a hell of a value pick. So, yeah, there are some good values here. Teams are starting to take the second quarterbacks, as we're seeing here, which makes a lot of sense. Matt, how many quarterbacks do you end up with in this format then?
3. I'm adamant on it. So you have your. I like to get one of these, the top 1 or 2 tiers, however you want to deem that, and then after that, I'd like to wait, and then I'll wait a little bit more, and that third person's just kind of. Hopefully, both of your quarterbacks haven't gotten hurt. That's kind of what I'm looking at for this third quarterback. If Lamar Jackson's healthy, my third quarterback shouldn't be, scoring more fantasy points than Lamar Jackson on sure, any given Sunday, as they would say, but For the most part, this third quarterback, I'm going to wait a little bit. It's got to be somebody, obviously, that is starting quarterback. So I'll be conscious of how the player pool's drying up and when it's drying up. But I'm going to be looking to wait to grab my third, and I do not want a fourth. I think you're just wasting roster spots at that point.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because obviously there's 32 starting quarterbacks, and so someone says, "Hey, I want to get that fourth starting quarterback." Hey, we know starting quarterbacks come and go as well. So if you really need another one, that week 2 fab, go get one. Then if you have to get one, So I agree with you. I think 3 is the most you really need. Unless you didn't get a first or second tier quarterback, and then you're just loading up on the last 4 quarterbacks available or whatever. So, all right. So I've minimized the draft board here so we can see all the rounds. We'll probably go through round 18 here, and then we'll let you finish out on style here. Again, we're going to try to do this once a week with the guys at FTN Fantasy. We'd love to get Jeff Radcliffe on here if he would like to do one. That would be a great too. And we know Vlad will do one here pretty soon, but we appreciate it, Matty. So after your pick here, just let people know what they can find at ftnfantasy.com. We want people to go there. We want them to subscribe, get the in-season chat. I mean, I know you do Fab, and Fab's an important part during the season. You do a Fab report as well, right?
It's Vlad. Well, now that Vlad's in house, he usually will take care of all of that. I was doing it for football, and then so Vlad will do the Fab article, and then what I've been doing last season was
forget to make your pick.
Similar to the streaming, but it was basically streaming options, but finding your guys' NFFC ownership rostership percentage. Thresholds for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Talking about that week, who's the most, vied after person I would look to stream. I would go into ownership percentages and then kind of, explain why via data or matchup, etc. So I'll be doing the streaming articles this year, and then Vlad will be covering the Fab.
Cool. Very good. All right. The Fab in the Cutline Championship is before week 2, week 6. And week 10. So you have 3 fabs. Again, best ball scoring, only 3 fabs. This is the easiest format you can do with a $100,000 grand prize at the end. And nobody does this format. We're the only one to do this for baseball and football. And it's very unique, but a lot of fun. $175 entry fee, $350 league prize, 1 in 10 chance of doubling your money. And then, of course, the chance to win $100,000. So, all right. Good fun so far today. Yep, go ahead.
May I? I'm sorry, Greg. Were you and Tom just sitting around a fire with Willie Nelson and just started kind of coming up with some crazy fucking unique contest, or like what? How did this even? I don't even know how it came about. How did this? Yeah.
Well, I know we weren't listening to Willie Nelson.
I didn't know if it's okay to say, are you sitting around a fire smoking a joint? So Willie Nelson is kind of my
I think it's a good question, and I can tell you how we came up with it. So this was actually based off of a contest. I think it was FFOC or something like that. Chad Schroeder finished second in that one. Shad Schroeder finished first. It was what was it? $200,000 grand prize or whatever the hell it was, 500. I don't even remember what it was, but it was a contest that went way over its skis and lost a lot of money the first year, and the second year lost a lot more money. And I love the format. I had been talking with that guy. We're going to kind of merge. He wanted us to buy him. I was like, why should we buy you? This is a format I could create myself. And so we kind of went off of that format. Now, when we first did the cut line, it was set your lineup every single week. Okay. We did it for 2 years with set your lineup every single week, and people got burned out. It was week 1. I'm spending more time on this stupid cut line starting lineup than I am on my primetime starting lineup. So by the 3rd year, we had heard enough, and we started this format. And I mean, Derek can tell you, right, Tom? He did not like this format. He did not think that we should go best ball for the first regular season and then do the set lineup after, but he's come totally around. He loves the format now. But so this was one that we've kind of tweaked. The idea was out there with another company before us, and when they went under, we kind of took the format and fine-tuned it a little bit. But where we made the mistake was 26 rounds, 10 teams, set your starting lineup every week. It would just burn people out for that regular season. Then they were eliminated after week 9 too, so it's like,
my gosh.
geez, I spent so much time on that and I was eliminated. I ain't ever doing that stupid cut line again. Once we changed it to best ball scoring, then it was really popular.
Well, that, and you mentioned earlier, having 10 teams means there's harder decisions to be had for
absolutely. That's what I'm
starting. So it's like, who am I starting this week? Is it Elijah Moore or Tyler Lockett? Like,
I know it. That's exactly
tough.
what it was. It was very tough.
So then you're frustrated. because you're not getting the optimal output.
Right. So we were like, why is this not going over? It's $150 entry fee. I don't know if it was 75,000 grand prize or whatever. And we were losing numbers. And I had talked to a couple of people, and Sean was one of them who said, I can't do that contest. I spend way too much time on my starting lineup. I'm like, I hear you, Sean. I think we'll come up with a different version. So we did, and I think it's been well received.
Absolutely. It continues to grow, and I love seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, we should have 2,600 teams, we think, in this format. And,
Wow.
Baseball, we had gotten 1,900 teams the 2 previous years. This year, because of the lockout, our numbers were down. But, we should get over 2,000 for baseball as well. So, it's a cool format. And the entry point is a good price as well, I think. So, any other questions for us? We're here to talk about Willie Nelson, anything else we've been smoking and drinking. So if you got one last parting question, go for it now.
Yeah, just when are we linking up in person, boys? Now that I'm only hop, skip, and jump away in Chicago.
Okay, so Tom, the Dodgers are playing we're going to call it Miller Park, August 15th or 17th. I told him I'm up north, but I could come home and we could go down there, and I got a grill, and we could show Matty how to eat and drink in style at County Stadium, Miller Park, if you will. So is that a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or what is that series?
Yeah, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, August 15th through the 17th. I'm definitely going that Monday with John Fish, who's in the NFFC.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're playing.
We know Fish.
We're for sure going on that Monday.
Well, Fish will bring enough alcohol for all of us, that's for sure.
Yeah, the high noons.
Yeah. Okay, so let's think about the 15th. I could make my way down there, I think. So let's talk about that. That could be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Dean Peterson is a guy we used to work with. He just moved to Brookfield, Wisconsin, so he wants to get together as well. So that's a possibility. All right.
Okay, so before I get tickets, then I will reach out to you to confirm.
Okay.
Yeah, within probably 2 weeks out or something like that.
That sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
Cool. And Tom,
what do you think,
if you
Tom?
can make it, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, let's definitely that sounds like a good time. Yeah. See John as well, yeah.
Yeah, I can pick you up and we can come down together. So that sounds good.
Okay. All right, cool.
All right. Tell Fish we don't drink high noons. We drink beer.
No,
He's in Wisconsin, for crying out loud. What is he doing that for?
He's cornering the market, man.
We love it.
Beer. Come on.
Yeah, we'll bring Spotted Cow.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to bring some Spotted Cow for you. There you go. All right, Matty, welcome to the Midwest, and thank you for doing this tonight. And good luck in the cut line and all the other ones. We'll do this again with you before the start of the season, but we appreciate it. Everyone go to ftnfantasy.com, and, of course, go to playnffc.com if you want to get in the cut line, the online championship, the prime time, whatever. $100,000 grand prize for this one. $250,000 grand prize for the prime time, $250,000 grand prize for the online championship. We love them all. So come check them out at playnffc.com. Matty, we love you. Thank you much, and we'll see you on the 15th. All right?
Thank you guys so much. I'll see you soon. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Tom. We'll talk to you soon. All right?
All right.
Next week, we're going to do another one. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to do one next week, so stay tuned. All right? On the High Stakes Fantasy Network. Goodbye, all.